cars and motorsport. I've been working for ABB for over 8 years now, and I always had a passion for technology. And I was so excited when ABB announced a partnership with Formula E. ABB Formula E brings a sense of purpose to motorsport and helps people to understand the benefit of both electrification and sustainability. And that way, it's so much more than a race.
Excitement, performance, innovation and technology all in a split second. Bringing a series across the globe to the most iconic places, well, I can tell you, dreaming of that since a young man, who wouldn't want to be part of that?
So when I was a kid, I was on the grandstand here in Hockenheim and was watching Formula 1, and one day I want to become a professional race driver, so I always chased the dream. And finally, after I don't know how many years, I finally achieved that.
I think I really decided I wanted to do this as soon as I started karting. Even at an early age, I knew that I loved that more than other sports. I used to try out many sports. I noticed that I had a special love for racing, and I think that's when I realized I wanted to do that as my profession.
Started when I was 8 and then gradually progressed through the ranks, and it's just been a dream of mine to become a professional. Sort of made it now. Age of 25, and it's been an incredible journey.
I was fascinated by rallyman as I was a kid, and that's really where I felt like it would be a dream, but it would be so cool to be involved in motorsport.
What really changed my perception of motorsport, really changed my perception of driving, was unfortunately when Ayrton Senna died. I saw the impact that he had on the Brazilian people.
Two trophies will be awarded.
One for the driver, one for the team, plus a 6-figure prize pool.
It all ends here tonight, the season finale.
Get ready, it's time for Formula E Accelerate. Hello and welcome. Coming to you live, it is time for the grand final. Round 6 of Formula E Accelerate, the official esports sidekick to the FIA World Championship.
And what a journey it's been, converting the kitchen of Formula E headquarters here in the heart of London, England, into our studio home.
Yes, it all began in January and everybody's been working from home, so we decided to take it over.
And our hard-working, COVID-secure team have brought you some incredible sim racing, some great guests, and we're not done yet.
No, the prize, €100,000, is to be split among the successful few, and the winner gets to drive in a Formula E car, and they get this trophy.
The winning Formula E team will take delivery of this trophy and the kudos of a big victory this early in the 2021 season.
This is Jack Nicol.
That is Darren Adetossier.
And we have a packed show tonight. Our guests are DS Techeetah team principal Mark Preston, Tag Heuer Porsche driver Pascal Wehrlein, and YouTube star Fail Race.
We also have the second of our crucial Formula E drivers races coming up, and the final race for our 24 sim races. And for added jeopardy, it's double points.
So tell us all of your thoughts. Who do you think is going to win? Use the hashtag FEAccelerate if you want to appear on our social wall.
They say all roads lead to Rome, so let's find out what roads led us to Rome to race on these Roman roads.
Previously on Formula E Accelerate. 600 of the world's best sim racers set over 20,000 lap times in open qualifying. The chosen few hit the grid in January, and over the weeks, 3 front runners have emerged. First blood was on the streets of New York City.
The race gets underway in Formula E Accelerate.
Poleman Erhan Yoski pulled out a huge lead for Rocket Venturi Racing, while the rest of the field battled behind him for the podium position.
This is the battle for third place on the final lap, and Manuel Biancalila takes it.
In the end, the North Macedonian won by more than 8 seconds over Manuel Biancalila and Kevin Ciggy in a lights-to-flag victory.
I would call it a dream start. I couldn't have expected a better one, honestly. I was aiming for top 5, but I'll take P1 any day of the week.
P1 was a position he'd get used to as he started from pole position for the second time at round 2 in Hong Kong and again controlled the race. 2020 DTM Esports finalist pave was spun around by Mark Gassner on lap 5, but fellow Dragon Penske Autosport driver Freddie Rasmussen was having more luck at the sharp end as he chased down leader Yoski.
It was nerve-wracking seeing Rasmussen on my tail for the last final couple of laps, but I tried to stay calm and just finish my job.
Yoski out across the line, and it is 2 wins in a row for the North Macedonian.
It was back-to-back wins for Yoski ahead of Rasmussen, with Kevin Ciggy coming home in third following this overtake on Marius Gollenberg. Race at home champion Ciggy made amends for a poor qualifying run by putting his BMW Andretti car on pole in Berlin for round 3. Attack mode and energy management have given rFactor 2 drivers even more to think about this year. Maybe too much for Bono Huis and Graham Carroll, who plunged from the podium fight in the closing stages in Germany.
And Carroll has hit 0%, Huis has hit 0%, they've both stopped. They think that was the end of the race, they thought that was all they had to do.
Ahead of them, Ciggy made no mistakes, taking his first win.
To get the win for round 3, it felt pretty good, pretty satisfying. Getting that pole was super important, and yeah, it just gives me a small boost for the next round.
Round 4 and our championship fight was beginning to take shape in Styria, with Freddie Rasmussen claiming an emphatic pole position ahead of his 2 main rivals, Ciggy and Yoski.
I think I'm learning the game a bit more now, and I'm finding more and more pace, just getting more comfortable with the game.
Ominous words from one of the most feared esports drivers on the grid, but it wasn't long before an impatient Kevin Ciggy made a lunge for the lead.
He's going for it, sends it coming into the chicane, Ciggy on full attack, and they bang wheels as Ciggy slides around. Yoski takes evasive action, and Ciggy drops down to 3rd position.
Ciggy escaped a penalty, but had lost 2nd place to Yoski, and with it, any hope of back-to-back wins.
Obviously it was my fault. I think I was just overcooking it on the braking zone because I was just a bit too impatient sitting behind him, and I just couldn't do anything to keep the pressure up.
Rasmussen, meanwhile, cruised to victory, taking his first win of the season.
It feels nice to finally win a race. Kevin and Erhan, I think they're the best rFactor 2 players in the world. I really need to push hard to try to beat them. I'll be pretty happy if I can do that.
Round 5, Electric Docks. Rasmussen was again on pole, but a poor start saw points leader Erhan Yoski take the lead of the race.
Here comes Yoski in the black and white Venturi, the championship leader on the outside, coming into this treacherous first chicane, and Yoski takes the lead.
Having qualified down in 11th, Kevin Ciggy was having one of those nights. A late move by Manuel Biancalila and Brzezinski would see him finish where he started, as BMW Andretti dropped from the lead of the team's standings.
0 points from today's race would be a real disaster for Kevin Ciggy.
Energy management again became decisive as Nikodem Wisniewski got past Freddy Rasmussen on the final lap to take 2nd.
Nikodem Wisniewski's got up into 2nd place, and that is going to be big news for the championship.
And indeed it was, as Erhan Yoski took the win to extend his lead to 26 points, at the same time propelling Rocket Venturi Racing into the lead of the team standings ahead of BMW Andretti.
A huge weight lifted out of my chest finishing P1. I was so stressed the entire weekend. At the start I wasn't expecting Rasmussen to lift off so early, so I took the position, and from then on I needed to save energy because I used quite a lot at the beginning. I just want to do my best the next race, and yeah.
Now, there can be only one.
So this is how the championship standings look, and it's still Erhan Yayovski at the top of the leaderboard, as he has been since week 1.
Yes, and there are only 36 points between the top 3, 86 points available today. So the £20,000 for the champion will be really interesting, as it's all up for grabs.
Freddy Rasmussen is second in the standings. He's the closest to stopping Yayovski, and he's been really impressive because this is his first ever series on rFactor 2 since moving over from the F1 game. So he's still the driver most likely to stop Yayovski.
And just behind him, we have Kevin Ciggy. Now, we actually caught up with Kevin yesterday, and he's feeling quite confident against the Rome track. So it's going to be fun to take a look at how he does today. And maybe tonight's the night that Kevin Ciggy gets a little bit jiggy with it. And I mean that in terms of all the racing action.
Well, it's even closer in the team standings than the Drivers' Challenge. I can't actually believe he did it. And Rocket Venturi are at the top. They're just 16 points ahead of BMW. And Lawrence Herzinger's come into form. He's scored points in the last 2 races, which is really helping the team's chances.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see how the drivers' race affects the team standings. BMW obviously had a win last week with Jake Dennis, so I'm curious to see how this impacts Rocket Venturi Racing and BMW.
Yeah, and actually the last race, Petr Berliak out-qualified Kevin Ciggy for the first time. He maybe won't want to repeat that performance because he'll want to help his team make over the championship, but the higher up the order he can finish, the higher chance BMW have of taking that team's title.
Well, let's take a look at the drivers getting ready now. Loving Ollie Pakala's setup. Which is your favourite, Jack?
I think Graham Carroll. I like his glasses. I like the dark, but not too dark, Freddie Rasmussen style, who I think we don't even put on the board because it's so dark.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Graham Carroll's my favourite one there.
Yes, and we will be racing in Rome. It's a box-fresh track to rFactor 2, so let's see how the drivers get on.
Yeah, it's going to be based on the original Rome circuit, not the one that we'll be going to this year. It's the first 2 years, and you've got good overtaking opportunities into turn 13 off the start line, also into turn 9, and attack mode is really tricky offline at the bottom hill at turn 6. But enough of my thoughts about it. We're very lucky to have Mark Preston, the team principal of DS Techeetah, about to take us around Rome. So Mark, if you want to head out and onto the circuit, well, you're, as far as sort of racing team principals go, you've got, you know, Alan McNish, you've got Susie Wolf in the paddock. What are your sort of talents like?
Me, I was always a designer, so I designed the cars. Didn't get to drive them. I was a vehicle dynamicist, so yeah, I'm not the best driver in the world, but I can certainly design a car.
Okay, but you've been giving it a little bit of practice in Rome before giving us this guide, right?
Yeah, but you know, I usually am about 10 seconds off the pace, so don't expect anything amazing from me.
Okay, well we don't need to go fast, as I demonstrated the other week when I guided Diriyah, but here we go, lots of elevation change here.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually watching some of the onboards last year just to see how they came down and approached this corner actually. Goes a bit light, I think, around this corner, as obviously you've got to come down and change direction. So we'll get used to this. It's a little bit different than my sim at home. And often my dog likes to sit on my lap because I'm actually that slow. So, yeah, exiting up this rise here again. This is where we get to that famous jump. I was listening to one of the onboards. I think it was Sam Bird. As you go across this rise here, you do actually go get air, I believe. So, yeah, quite a fun one.
And this is up at turn 9, one of the other good overtaking opportunities. And actually 9, 10 into the chicane is where we saw Mitch Evans overtake Andre Lotterer for the win last time. So there's lots of overtaking opportunities around here.
Yeah, that was quite exciting, wasn't it, with Andre and Mitch? We were obviously watching that pretty carefully, that race. Pity we didn't win it, but anyway, that was good fun. So down across the start-finish straight to the big break. I'll not try to outbrake myself. I was actually just checking. Oops, that's a bit slow. How much of a turn that actually is. How much the guys have to get the full lock on that corner.
Yeah, well, we see that so often on Formula E circuits. The corners are so tight that you have to put so much lock. Now we're into the sort of narrower, tighter back streets part, aren't we?
Yes, indeed. So there's lots of left, right, 90 degrees corners. And then we come up to the sort of entrance to the pits, which is a bit of a left, right. Get that right. Don't hit the wall.
That was where there was the big pile up the first year we went there, wasn't there? And it caught a bit of a red flag.
These streets are quite tight, don't they? In Formula E, the walls really I remember Andre Lotterer saying to me in the first time he came into Formula E, he said, the walls come at you really fast. And I said, what do you mean? So, in Le Mans you got plenty of time, but in these cars, the corners just come at you all the time and you have to be adjusting all the time, so it's quite difficult.
Yeah, well, that's a lap of the Rome Ypres circuit. Thank you very much, Mark. We'll be having a proper chat and a catch-up a little bit later on.
Now, Mark, you've got a vested interest in the next item, as Dia Sochita is being represented by reigning Formula E champion Antonio Felix da Costa, as the second half of our real driver grid take to those Roman roads.
Well, there are the real-world Formula E drivers getting ready to take to the Rome circuit. Mitch Evans up in the top left, Eduardo Mortara alongside him. This is how they'll line up on the actual grid, though, and it is Oliver Turvey at the back. The Dragon Penske Autosport machine of Nico Müller in 11th place, René Rast completing the top 10. Oliver Rowland was an impressive qualifier, but not so much in Formula E Accelerate, although he was quite impressive in the Race at Home Challenge, but he's up behind Antonio Felix da Costa in 8th. Max Günther is in 7th position for the BMW I Andretti team. Alex Lynn is 6th. Pascal Wehrlein in the Tag Heuer Porsche is 5th. And then it's the front two rows doing battle for the team's championship in Formula E Accelerate. Rocket Venturi Racing's Eduardo Mortara is 4th. Mitch Evans is 3rd. And the front row of the grid has in 2nd position Stoffel Vandoorne for the Mercedes EQ team, and Robin Freins starts on pole position for the Envision Virgin Racing team, just like he did in the real world in Diriyah. So Freins on pole, Stoffel Vandoorne alongside him. Here come the lights. Oh, almost a jump start there for Robin Freins as they come charging down towards the first hairpin. He puts Stoffel Vandoorne in the wall almost as they get onto the brakes. Through the hairpin left-hander, and Freins is in the wall on the exit. That means Vandoorne is up into first place. Already up into 2nd position has gone Eduardo Mortara. Mitch Evans is trying to get around the outside. Robin Freins is getting feisty up the inside now as they come into the sort of back streets of Rome. Freins then from pole has dropped down into 4th position, with Vandoorne leading the way. He's hit the wall again, Robin Freins. There is damage on these cars, so those early few batterings with the barriers won't be helping Freins for the remainder of the 12-minute race. We're on board with the Dutchman now. Mitch Evans in front goes a little bit wide. Freins gets a little bit loose. Oh, and then tags Mitch Evans round. So Evans is sent spinning as we come over the timing line and start this brilliant descent down the hill towards Via della Trefontaine, and Vandoorne's in the wall, and that might allow Mortara through. No, Vandoorne holds the position for the moment. Too late on the brakes on the run down the hill. Attack mode is here on the left-hand side, and Robin Freins taking it on the first lap by the looks of things. Did he activate it properly? Maybe not. It's not open on the first lap, so I don't know why he tried to do that, now I think about it. So an odd decision for Freins, but there goes Mortara into the race lead. So the Venturi driver gets up ahead of Stoffel Vandoorne. This is our view back to the Belgian behind. Oh, Freins is so loose. He must have so much damage. There we can see Mortara's unmistakable eyes down in the bottom left as they come over the line and down towards the hairpin. Through the tight left-hander, the Christopher Columbus hairpin. Then up towards this right-hand turn at turn 14 before into this sequence of chicanes. This is last year's Rome Ypres circuit as Vandoorne slides into the wall. Still holds on to that 2nd place, but as I say, this is last year's Rome circuit, or the first 2 years that Formula E went there, whereas now it will be a new circuit for season 7, which we're all very much looking forward to seeing in the next couple of weeks. Vandoorne really trying to put the pressure on Mortara. As they drop down the hill again. Oh, what's going on here? Oliver Rowland and Oliver Turvey are together on track, up behind Max Günther. So Günther, oh, and Rowland's in big trouble here. Really looks like he might have bent the car. He's running in 6th place at the moment as the Nissan Edam's car drops down the hill. Günther is representing the BMW I Andretti Motors. Oh, here's what happened then. Günther goes in a bit deep. Rowland's trying to get... Oh, Turvey spins Günther, and then they all hit each other at the timing line. Gunter driving for the BMW team that won the last race in the hands of Jake Dennis. And Freins is ahead of Van Dorn then. So Robin Freins ahead of Stoffel Van Dorn and up into second spot. As they, and now it's Freins' turn to get turned around. He turned around Evans earlier on, now Van Dorn has turned him around. Coming past the Marconi obelisk. And Van Dorn is up into second place with a robust move. A little bit deep on the brakes, down into the hairpin. Just clipping the inside curb there, which sends him out towards the wall on the outside. Here's looking at it again on board with Freins. So he got a good drive at the bottom of the hill. Got up alongside Van Dorn. This is the jump. And then that is how the Dutchman got through. Eduardo Mortara sets a best lap time of a 1 minute 39.321. So continuing to go quicker and quicker and quicker here, Edo. 5.6 seconds clear of Stoffel Van Dorn. The Italian-Swiss racer. Father was Italian. Actually represented Italy at ice hockey. Here's Pascal Wehrlein, whose mother is from Mauritius. Don't know if she ever represented Mauritius at ice hockey. Van Dorn activates his first attack mode, as does Robin Freins. Roland, meanwhile, has got the cutback on Gunter. Along via Trefontaine, and Roland gets through. Wehrlein activated his attack mode. Roland's going to get ahead. Big slide from Gunter. He's in all sorts of trouble. And Roland, although it looked like he was going to get the run, Roland's in trouble as well. Lost it big time on the brakes, coming up into turn 9. And that again will damage that Nissan Edams car. Roland, who, as I say, was so impressive in the Race at Home Challenge. Let's have a look at Antonio Felix da Costa, who's up behind Robin Freins, running in 4th position at the moment, the DS Techeetah driver. He and Robin Freins, very good friends in real life. Robin calls him Tony. The two are very good chums. They were playing computer games against each other in separate hotel rooms during the quarantine period before the first race in Saudi Arabia. They weren't playing these games, they were playing those sort of shooty games. I don't know which one it was. But da Costa is dropping away a little bit from Robin Freins. It looked as though he closed in, but now the Dutchman is pulling clear, and in fact it's Pascal Wehrlein in the Porsche behind, who is running behind, and Mortara spins from the lead. Eduardo Mortara goes round, he does a full 360 and manages to keep going. So he's got away with that one, Mortara. Still out in front, which would be big news for Rocket Venturi Racing in the Teams Championship, because and another spin coming out of attack mode. This time it's da Costa. It must be something about activating attack mode, getting the extra power, and then sort of turning and going over a crest or something, because we're seeing so many spins exiting the attack mode activation zone. But as I was saying a moment ago, Mortara driving for the Venturi team, who in Formula E Accelerate have Erhan Yayovski at the top of the standings. So a win here would be really good news for them in their fight with BMW I Andretti for the team's title. Here's Pascal Wehrlein in the Tag Heuer Porsche. Muller activates his second attack mode. Evans and Lynn down in 11th and 12th positions now. And the two former teammates at the back. But here's Wehrlein. Through the left and the right, then the right, then the left. Mortara, meanwhile, with 4 minutes and 20 seconds to go, is dropping down the hill again. Robin Freins sets the fastest lap of the race. The drivers love this Rome circuit. They love the elevation around this Eur district. What's going on now with da Costa? He's behind Max Gunter then. So da Costa, having dropped it a few laps ago, is behind the BMW I Andretti of Max Gunter and trying to get up into 5th position. Oliver Rowland in the Nissan Edams is behind him too. as they come swinging down the hill. This is where Gunter crashed out of the race a few years ago on the opening lap. Roland very late on the brakes. Oh, a big hit. I think that might have been Roland. Gunter activates his attack mode and doesn't spin coming out of it. Big smile on the face of Da Costa. So I don't know what he's just seen, or whether that's just how happy he is to get ahead of Gunter and up into 5th place. Gunter all over the shop. Roland's had a big one. He's gone straight on at turn 9. And Van Dorn is back ahead of Freitz. I don't think we saw that happen, did we? So Stoffel Van Dorn is back up into 2nd place. Oh no, he spun him around, didn't he? He spun him around a few laps ago. But Mortara is commanding this one. 3 minutes left on the clock. So I think we're only going to get a couple more laps now. Here's a look at what happened to Roland at turn 9. Gets on the brakes. Whoa! Just coming over the crest, locked the rears. Wham, bam, bam, into the wall. Eduardo Mortara down to the bottom of the hill. Now climbing up again, over to the left, activates his 2nd attack mode. 2 attack modes of 90 seconds for these Formula E drivers. And Mortara is absolutely bossing this race, not in a dissimilar way to we saw Jake Dennis bossing the race in Diriyah. There's Robin Freitz in 3rd position. I think he still has the fastest lap of the race. And he's also on the back of Stoffel Van Dorn. Through the chicane, Van Dorn's out of shape. Is this Freitz's chance? Full send into the hairpin. And is Van Dorn able to fight back? Doesn't look like it. So Robin Freitz up into 2nd place, big hit. Keeps going in 2nd though. Although the car looks like it might be a little bit worse for wear. Freitz holding on to that 2nd spot into the chicanes. Van Dorn very leery behind. Mortara's just finishing. Oh, big hit into the wall for Van Dorn. I think that'll be his challenge for 2nd place done, but podium position could give him good points for them at Mercedes EQ. Oh, look at that, the car's all over the place now. This is good news for Robin Freitz and the Envision Virgin Racing team. They haven't picked up a huge amount of points over the course of the Formula E Accelerate campaign, but this could certainly help them. This 2nd place finish can be held onto by Robin Freitz. Oh, Wehrlein's got ahead of Van Dorn now as well. So Wehrlein now up into 3rd place. Here comes Eduardo Mortara though, with only 12 seconds left on the clock. Comes through the hairpin. 11.2 seconds clear of Robin Freitz. This has been a commanding, dominant drive from Eduardo Mortara. In fact, he's coming up to lap Alex Lynn. Oliver Roland has DNF'd from this one. But Mortara through the chicanes. Just a couple more corners to go for the Italian-Swiss racer. Yellow flags are out, so someone... Oh, and it's Turvey facing backwards, but it's the checkered flag for Mortara as he comes across the line to win the 2nd driver's race in Formula E Accelerate. Superb performance then from the Italian-Swiss racer, and good points as well for the team's championship for Venturi. This is how the race results ended. A dominant victory for Eduardo Mortara, you have to say. Not a good day for the British drivers. Alex Lynn down in 10th, Turvey facing backwards at the end, and Oliver Roland not even making it to the finish line after some hefty shunts out there, particularly up at turn 9. But that win for Eduardo Mortara Really, really impressive. And with Erhan Yayovski being so strong in the Formula E Accelerate standings, it means that as far as the Teams Championship is concerned, Rocket Venturi Racing are in a very strong position. 33 points clear of BMW I Andretti Motorsport. Dragon Penske, they're still just about in with a shot at the title, but it's Rocket versus BMW predominantly.
Yes, we are joined with the winner of the drivers' race, Edo Mortara. Hey, Edo, thank you for joining us. Congratulations on winning. I mean, you had quite the lead. Can you take us through that race?
Thanks for having me, firstly. Yeah, I mean, it was a very good race. Yeah, I had a mistake, like when I took the attack mode for the first time, but otherwise, yeah, I didn't do so many mistakes. I could pull a decent gap, you know, with the second place and the third place. I think it was Stoffel and Robin, and yeah, and could win that one.
Amazing. And now this has scored points for the team standings of Rocket Venturi Racing. So you're helping out Erhan Yayovski. Have you been impressed by his skills?
I was, yeah, he's doing like a tremendous job. I'm a big fan actually of the Accelerate Championship on the shows that you're actually providing. I was following what he was doing. He's been very, very impressive, very quick, and I've been following, you know, his last races, and yeah, since the first race, he's been on it.
Yeah, and I've heard that you've spent all day in the simulator, actually. Can't imagine it's as fun as the real game in rFactor 2. But how's your preparation for Rome going?
Yeah, so we started preparing our Formula E race weekend in Rome. As you know, we are going to go race there on the 12th of April. And yeah, and we're starting doing all kinds of like strategy, energy management work, and we had a pretty busy day today. But yeah, so far it's been going good, and cannot wait actually to go back there and race in Rome, one of my favorite places in the Formula E calendar.
Brilliant. Well, Edo, we can't let you go before addressing your incredible overtake in Diriyah. I mean, we're going to take a look at it now, actually. Could you just talk us through what that moment was like for you?
How can I describe it? Scary, scary, and yeah. So I was with attack mode, and I knew that it was very important for me to basically overtake the two cars that were in front of me. Took the chance to firstly overtake Mitch, and could see that there was maybe a possibility to overtake also Pascal. It ended up very good for us. We were lucky to, let's say, to overtake the two cars. That was a key moment in our race, and then from then on, you know, we kind of didn't do mistakes after, and we could finish on the podium. So that was very, very important. Actually, that moment was very important for us.
Yes, well, it was an incredible move. Thank you so much for chatting with me, Edo. Looking forward to seeing you in Rome. But now, Jack and Mark Preston are just over there, so let's see what they're up to.
Yeah, great to have Mark Preston with us, the team principal of DS Techeetah. And Mark, I guess I don't really know where to start with you in Formula E, because we have so much to discuss right now. You know, you're one of the top teams in the championship, reigning champions, but right from the beginning, you were part of Formula E. What were your sort of first memories of that first season?
First season, well, making it to Beijing, and then most people saying we weren't going to get around the track. I think Takuma had to reboot the car 2 or 3 times in the first race. That was how let's say, disorganised we were as a race team at the very beginning. But it was, yeah, really exciting, getting something completely new going, and that was the most fun about the whole year that year.
And that win with Antonio Felix da Costa in Argentina must have been amazing.
That was incredible. Yeah, there's obviously a few events that happened in front of us, but Antonio actually that morning said, "Yeah, 7th, we should be able to win from here," and off he went.
Yeah, amazing stuff. And from then you were always sort of an underdog, would you say? Because then even when Techeetah joined, that was a kind of difficult process and start of that process. What does it take to build something from a Guri level where, you know, you're rebooting the car every lap to this domination of Formula E?
I think that shows how much of a process it is. You know, myself and some of the engineers, Leo, Pascal, and those guys actually started together in season 2. So when you think back, we've been actually working on it for all those years. In season 3, I remember we were making mistakes. I think we rolled back down the pit lane with Jev. Then as things went on to the end of that year, Jev won his first race with us anyway in Montreal. So everything was a progression. And I think as long as you have as one of my engineers says, a positive gradient in the future, then you'll be okay. So as long as everything's going forward and not backwards, you should be all right. So we've built. It's taken a long time though. Didn't happen overnight.
Yeah, that win at the end of season 3 in Montreal for Vern, it looked like just a floodgate moment because it's been unstoppable since then.
Yeah, I mean, he got his confidence. Everyone got their confidence. You know, the engineers, the strategy software, they were happy it worked perfectly. After a few mistakes and problems during the year with various aspects, we just kept building on it. And as long as we never let anything go backwards, I think that's the key.
And how much does that make Techeetah Jev's team?
I mean, yeah, he's worked with us from the very beginning. He's pushed everybody. Everyone's pushed each other. We all know each other well. We know each other's strengths and weaknesses, I believe, and that certainly helps as well. So, yeah, he's pushed like crazy, and he's helped to make us what we are now.
And does that make it difficult for him when maybe other drivers come into the team and want equal treatment? Maybe sort of Andre Lotterer, less so. Okay, they had that collision in season 4 in Santiago, but overall kind of got along well. But the Da Costa element has brought a big change within your team, it feels. Yeah,
I mean, the thing Jev recognises as well is that if you don't have a good teammate, then when you're having, say, a bad FP1, you can't lean over the fence and say, how did you go through turn 1 or turn 2, or what's your setup today? So when you have a driver that you know is pushing you hard and at your level, then that pushes you harder. So I know Jev appreciates that, and he put a lot of effort in the beginning with Antonio, and obviously helped him to win the championship as well last year. By all that effort, he helped with teaching him.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you very much for speaking to us, Mark. We're going to be having more action with you later. The Allianz Ask Me Anything is coming up, so if you have any questions for Mark, get them in using the hashtag FEAccelerate. But now it's time to turn our attention to the sim racing, and most specifically qualifying, which is about to get underway. Now, it's a really, really important qualifying session, this, because there's 6 points up for grabs because the fact it's double points. So that's really going to swing things around depending on who gets pole position. So let's find out. The top 6 are going to be going out in the first group of qualifying, as in the real Formula E, and the track will be a little bit worse for them, not quite in the nature that we see in Formula E itself, but it will be a challenge for the top 6 in the championship. So Erhan Yayovski, Kevin Ciggy, Freddie Rasmussen, Marius Golombek and Manuel Biancalila out first on the track. And here is championship leader Erhan Yayovski making his way down the hill now then on his qualifying lap. These drivers, well, Ciggy, Rasmussen and Yayovski are the 3 drivers that have taken all of the pole positions so far this season. Here he comes climbing up the hill, attack mode on the left-hand side through 6, 7 and 8, and just listen for the jump here. You see here the wheels spike, and then onto the brakes into the left-hander of 9. We'll keep an eye out on everybody else as well. There is Kevin Ciggy in the BMW I Andretti Motorsport car. If Yayovski gets pole position here, he will only need to finish 5th or higher to guarantee being the champion. But if Rasmussen here gets pole position, Yayovski would need to be at least 2nd at the end of the race to guarantee the championship. That's how important this 6-point swing could be as far as the standings are concerned. Here comes Erhan Yayovski sliding his way through the final couple of corners. It's going to be Rasmussen, though, I think, that's going to cut the timing beam first. Looking for another pole position, Freddy Rasmussen. He's taken the last 2 in a row. Comes across the line, it's a 1 minute 29.091. Can Yayovski beat that or match that? They lined up on the front row together last time out, and Yayovski is a long way away. 3.5 tenths from Freddie Rasmussen. Biancalila slots into 3rd place. What can Kevin Ciggy do? Can he get involved in this fight? Golombek goes 4th. Ciggy into the final couple of corners. This lap could be huge for the championship, and Ciggy goes 3rd. What a lap from Freddie Rasmussen. Ciggy furious, half a second away from Rasmussen, but that is an absolutely ginormous lap for the Danish driver. and that could well have, well, it's put him in really good stead for the championship. Now, if it finishes like this, we've still got a lot of qualifying to come as well, but if it were to finish Rasmussen first, Jajowski second, then Jajowski would still just win the championship. But any slip-up for Jajowski, and he wouldn't wrap it up. We've still got Bono Huis, Nikodem Wisniewski, Peter Berliak, Graham Carroll, Jarno Opmeer and Risto Capit to come out in qualifying Group 2. Here is Graham Carroll, the Scottish driver, his best qualifying performance, third in the opening round of the season in New York City. Gets on the power at the bottom of the hill at turn 6. Nikodem Wisniewski was very impressive last time out for the DS Techeetah team, had a season best of 4th on the grid and went on to finish 2nd in the race. Peter Berliak 3/10 away from Rasmussen through sector 1. That, I can't believe the gaps between Rasmussen and Jajowski. That's the largest pole position gap we have seen all season by a country mile. Here comes Berliak into the chicane around the Marconi obelisk, as Graham Carroll in Robin Freitz's car comes down to the hairpin. Neat and tidy. It's actually not a bad first 2 sectors from Carroll. He might have a shot here at getting up onto the front couple of rows. Jarno Opmeer has done the fastest middle sector of anyone, maybe a little bit loose coming through the chicane. Here's Peter Berliak, a couple of tenths away after the middle sector. But I'm interested to see what Graham Carroll can do here. Is he going to fully instigate himself into the title fight? Carroll out across the line. Huis goes 3rd. Carroll goes 2nd. Erhan Jajowski drops to 3rd. Peter Berliak goes up into 8th place, so Ciggy is down to 5th. And his championship chances are looking mightily slim now. Nikodem Wisniewski goes into 6th position. Here comes Jarno Opmeer, fastest man in the middle sector, but his first sector wasn't particularly strong. Comes across the line, and Opmeer gets ahead of Ciggy too. Ciggy slipping away. 6th position, and it looks like this is going to be a head-to-head shootout between Rasmussen and Jajowski. Great performance from Graham Carroll. So far, his best qualifying performance of the season, but we've still got 12 drivers to go. But if Freddy Rasmussen holds on to this and he wins the race with Jajowski finishing in 3rd, it'll come down to the fastest lap point between them. Or Jajowski would win it on countback with the number of wins. So this is going to be an incredibly tight race and an incredibly tight fight for 20,000 euros and a drive in a real Formula E car. Here's Lorenz Herzing. Now, the Austrian has really impressed over the last few races for the Rocket Venturi team. Qualified 12th and 9th, but has finished much higher up than that. Finished 8th and 4th in Diriyah and Electric Docks. So we'll see whether he can continue that form. Olli Pakala, the veteran esports racer. 31. Old man, Olli Pakala. As Lorenz Herzing comes down to the hairpin. Herzing, only 18 years of age, 19 now actually, I think. Had a 6th place finish in the Race at Home Challenge in Berlin. He's only a couple of tenths away after the first 2 sectors. He can have a good final sector here. He's got a shot at top 5, really leaning on the car nicely. Coming out of turn 15. You see him fighting the wheel on the left-hand side. Herzing across the line. And it's 8th place. Solid performance from Herzing, and that's going to help in Venturi's battle to win the team's title. Here comes Olli Pakala. Pakala slots into 10th place, so just behind Kuba Brzezinski. Von der Heide, meanwhile, went into 12th ahead of his teammate Mark Gassner. Manuel Biancalila in 14th place. Berliak, Gollenbeck, Capit and Muller, the rest of the runners. Now it's time for Group 4. The final drivers out there, Artur Lejuk for DS Techeetah, Pev, Benchik, Honzik, Van der Linde, and Jiayu Zhang. And here is Artur Lejuk. Oh! Bit of a swapper, coming down into 5. Jiayu Zhang appears to have locked up coming into turn 9. Lejuk, the simulator driver for DS Techeetah, was planning on doing some of the races at the DS Techeetah factory in France, but obviously global restrictions put a bit of a pay to that. We saw Pev down in the bottom left. Here is Leuk. Again, oh, maybe sliding a bit too much there, clipping the wall. Half a second away in Sector 1, Leuk. A lot of that, I'm sure, will have been the snatch of the brakes. Oh, and this is scruffy in the final couple of corners too. So Leuk is going to be in the lower regions here. Across the line, it is 19th place ahead of Jiayu Zhang. Waiting for Pev, van der Linde, Honzik and Benchik to come across the line. Here comes Pev. Not a bad lap this from Pev. Maybe a chance of the top 10. There is the Bulgarian, focused, some mean speakers behind him. That's a good setup. Comes across the line, and Pev is 19th at the end of that. And out of breath a little bit, despite doing a decent final sector. And Benchik and Honzik completing the top 24. So Freddy Rasmussen takes pole position then, and that moves him a little bit closer, just 20 points behind Erhan Yayovski in the championship fight, and Yayovski will be starting third on the grid. You couldn't have set this up better, honestly. Mark Gassner is 13th, Manuel Biancalila 14th, Petr Berliak in 15th position, Artur Leuk with a scruffy lap in 20th spot, and Tamer Benchik and Jaroslav Honzik actually setting identical lap times.
Yes, we are joined with the poleman, Freddie Rasmussen. Freddie, this is your third pole in Formula E Accelerate, so we've got a hat-trick now. How are you feeling about that qualifying lap?
I'm really happy with that lap. I think it's my best one so far this season. At a crucial moment as well. But I don't think it's going to be up to me about the championship. I'm hoping for Erhan to make some mistakes.
Well, touché. And I know that you had an all-or-nothing approach with this qualifying lap. How many hours of prep went into today's lap?
I didn't really count. A few hours for sure. Maybe 5, 6, 7, something like that.
Amazing. Well, it's all paid off. You seem to be really in the zone, so we're going to let you to get ready for the race. Good luck, and thank you for speaking with us. But now, Jack is just over there with Pascal Wehrlein.
Yeah, great to have Pascal with us. Where are you in the world at the moment, Pascal? Because my favourite thing when we're doing these Zoom calls is racing drivers in random places. So where are you at the moment?
Hello, I'm at home, so in Switzerland.
Okay, and how long have you been there? How much are you sort of moving around in this sort of time?
Yeah, this week is a bit less busy. Last week was quite busy. Next week is busy for Rome preparation. So this week is kind of off. I'm using that for training. So yeah, a bit of time off is good.
Okay, nice. Well, thank you very much for speaking to us. Let's have a chat about Diriyah first of all then. Your first race with Porsche, and race 1 in particular sort of went very well, especially qualifying.
Yeah, it was very important for me to have a good start into the season, you know, joining a new team, and also last year I missed half of the season. So it was important for me to be straight on a good pace again, and yeah, qualifying was good with second. We scored some good points in the race with P5 as well, but yeah, we want more.
How did it feel? Because you had pretty much a whole year, right, without doing any racing at all. So did it feel strange getting back into the car, or not too bad?
I would say the preparation went really well. You know, I joined the team in August, and since then, obviously, we had a lot of time to prepare, to get me used to the team, get a good relationship with the guys, be a lot in the simulator. So yeah, preparation was definitely key, but yeah, it's still not the same like racing. And I wouldn't say it was weird, but yeah, 1 year outside of the car is definitely not something I want to do again.
Yeah. Well, we saw Andre Lotterer have a very good relationship with Jean-Eric Verne when they were together at DS Techeetah. How are you finding that relationship with Andre? Because you weren't sort of on track much together in Diriyah, were you?
Let's say the relationship with Andre is getting better and better. We didn't speak too much in the past, so in the last 2 seasons, but yeah, since I joined the team, obviously we are speaking a lot more. We are having dinner together and stuff like that. And I would say we have quite a good relationship already now after just 1 race. And I'm sure it will get better and better during the season. I hope we don't touch each other so often on track, but it may happen as well. So let's see.
And what are sort of Porsche's hopes for this season? Obviously, it's to be at the front winning races, but is it still a team that is in the early stages of its sort of Formula E career and it's a long-term project, or are you thinking, this year I want to be going for the title?
I think Porsche is still quite new to Formula E. I mean, it's only their second season, and if you consider that last year we didn't race at many tracks, they're lacking the experience on all the tracks as well. So, but definitely from what the team says, they have done a big step forward from last season to this season. I think we showed some good performances already in Riyadh, but obviously we want to do better. In terms of, let's say, personal ambitions, obviously we are all kind of missing our first win. So my best position was second, Andre's best position was second for the team, for Porsche. We all want to win our first race together this year, definitely. And then, if you are in the mix, if you are fighting for race wins, you're also fighting for the championship. And we want to fight for that.
Okay, great. Well, best of luck for Rome. Good luck with the training. What do you do with the training? Are you sort of cycling around the Swiss countryside, or a gym in the house, or what's the deal?
Yes, a gym in the house, a lot of sports outside. So currently we have good weather, 15, 20 degrees. So I'm trying to do a lot of stuff outside, running, cycling, body weight training. So
okay.
Everything what keeps you fit.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, well, great. Thank you very much for joining us, Pascal. See you in Rome.
Thank you. See you there. All the best.
Cheers. Darren.
Thanks, Jack. And if you want to get some time with Pascal and his teammate Andre Lotterer for your very own chat, thanks to the virtual Allianz e-Village, then you can scan the barcode here for an entry into the draw. But now, Mark Preston, it's your time for the Allianz Ask Me Anything. Now, last week, we had when Ian James came on, we had a marriage proposal. I can assure you we don't have that today, but we do have some really great questions. So thanks to you guys for sending them in as always. And we're going to be starting off with Zoya_17, who asks, is it acceptable to have pineapple on a pizza? And this is a sensitive topic for me, Mark, so I need to know your answer.
Well, being Australian, Hawaiian pizzas are quite popular over there, so I think it is.
That's what I wanted to hear. Kaylee asks, what is your favourite Britney Spears song? Random.
Hit me baby one more time. Is there anyone I can think of right this
Great
minute?
answer, Mark. Lizard_gaming13 asks, who was your motorsport idol growing up?
Ayrton Senna. I was watching F1 at the time before I came over to England. It was one of my heroes,
Amazing. And Martin Turban asks, what goes through your mind when your drivers battle wheel to wheel during a race?
I suppose now it's kind of like, oh, please don't hit each other. That's probably the biggest thing. What are we going to do? How are we going to control this situation? But probably what's going to happen next.
Yeah, great stuff. Well, thank you, Mark. And thanks to you guys for sending in your questions. We absolutely love to hear from you. Isn't that right, Jack?
Yeah, sorry if we didn't get to them all, but if you get involved in the hashtag FE Accelerate, you might appear up on here. We've got Jerome D'Ambrosio looking forward to the end of the race, the assistant team principal of the Venturi team. If you're not watching on Twitch, by the way, then you're missing out on a lot of sport buff fun. So get involved in that. Oliver Rowland there, ready to go for Nissan Edams. Big news, actually, that Nissan are joining the Gen 3 series of Formula E in a couple of years' time. So that's one to keep an eye out for. Oh, and there's Alex Failrace. He's going to be joining me on CoComs later on. So looking forward to that. It's going to be fun. Yeah, thumbs up. There's Ollie Rowland. Look at him. Very, very happy. Up on the top step of the podium, laughing hard. And at the moment, he's still top of our leaderboard. And Alex is going to be setting a lap time on that later on. But before we get to that, we have got the Formula E Accelerate title to be settled. And it couldn't be set up any better because we have got the championship leader starting in third placer, Hanya Yovsky. We've got the main title rival, Freddy Rasmussen, starting on pole position. If they finish how they start, they will be exactly tied on points and it would go to count back. But we've still got 2 points up for grabs for fastest lap as well. So I've got my spreadsheets ready because this could be a tricky one. Let's take a look at the grid ahead of the final round. So, Bono Huis will be starting at the back of the grid after a penalty. Tameja Benchik, 23rd, the Hungarian, racing for Envision Virgin Racing. And then it is the Tagoya Porsche of Jaroslav Honzik in 22nd. Jiayu Zhang is 21st. Kelvin van der Linde is 20th for the Audi team. Artur Leyuk is just behind Peo Pev. Lucas Müller for the Mahindra Racing squad is in 17th position on the grid. Risto Capit, the Estonian from Tallinn, is 16th behind Marius Golombek in the Porsche. Then it's Peter Berliak in the BMW I Andretti car. Manuel Biancalina in the Audi Sport App. Schaeffler is going to be 13th on the grid. The Sicilian is behind the pair of Nissans on the 6th row of the grid. Mark Gassner in 12th place, just behind Jan van der Heide, who had a very, very strong race last time out in electric docks. He was very happy with that. Martin Stefanko a little bit further down the grid than he has been recently, 10th on the grid. Olli Pakala with a very strong performance, actually, one of his best qualifyings of the season. Kuba Brzezinski 8th, Lawrence Herzing 7th, Wisniewski 6th, Kevin Ciggy only in 5th spot, so he's got a lot of work to do if he has any chance of wrapping up the title. Jarno Opmeer really getting to the hang of things with rFactor 2, but championship leader Erhan Yujovski starts 3rd. 20 points clear of Freddy Rasmussen, who starts on pole position. Graham Carroll, very much the joker in the pack. As I say, we have Alex Failrace with us for commentary. I'm looking forward to this. Like, after qualifying, it's set up perfectly.
It is. It's absolutely set up perfectly because it's going to have to be overtaking. This is a track that's very difficult. It's very narrow, and there is going to have to be some passes if you're going to want to win. You're going to want to win the championship here.
And they do have to look after their energy as well. So they'll be keeping that in mind. They'll be using attack mode 2. But for the final time, we're about to go racing in Formula E Accelerate. Freddy Rasmussen in the red and white, Andretti Penske on pole position. Alongside him is Graham Carroll. Yujovski's 3rd. We're racing for the final time. It's a pretty decent start from Rasmussen. Yujovski, how aggressive is he going to be in the Venturi? On the run down to the hairpin left-hander, he's going to try and get round the outside, and Graham Carroll might take the lead. Rasmussen went a little bit deep, and will Carroll try and fight back? Sends a nose up the inside. Jarno Opmeer tries to go around the outside of Yujovski, can't pull it off. We're on board with Kevin Ciggy, who's in 4th place. He sends it to the inside. He knows he needs to be aggressive if he's got any chance of winning that 20,000 euros prize that is at the end of this race, and Opmeer is not budging. They're banging wheels as they come through those 2 corners, and that means that getting involved now is the other Venturi car of Lawrence Herzing, that must be, going wheel to wheel and battling hard. So absolutely robust racing in the first couple of laps. Yeah, Herzing doing a great job for his teammate. There's Ciggy, you can see him down in the bottom left. He has finally managed to battle up into 5th place. I think Herzing's got damage and has dropped down to 8th position. But what a frantic start that was. Rasmussen holds the lead, Carroll 2nd, Yujovski in 3rd. Yeah, nice and calm.
I'm not sure there's much paint left on some of those cars already. They've been going for like a minute so far, and they've already got rid of most of the paint. It's an incredible start. I mean, this track is unbelievably narrow if you've never driven it before. It's barely wide enough for 2 cars, and they're at full racing speed. They're swapping paint, going incredibly fast, and still making it through without anybody pointing the wrong way, nobody with massive problems.
Yeah, there is damage on in the game, so you might not sort of visibly see it. Oh, that was quite a big cloud to the wall from Rasmussen coming into the chicane. That could give an opportunity here to Graham Carroll. This is the battle for the lead, coming down towards the hairpin, and that all came from that big hit on the wall for Rasmussen. Will he have picked up a bit of damage on that? It's allowing Carroll into 2nd and Yujovski into 3rd. A reminder, if it stays like this, Yujovski will win the championship on having won more races than Yujovski. Here's a look at the start on board with Yujovski, and he just couldn't quite decide what to do, could he?
Yeah, it's very difficult when you sort of start any race, especially at these kind of street circuits, where you want to be committed, you want to try and make a pass, but it's double points here. You make a mistake, you fall back 4 or 5 places, and that's a really tough amount to gain back up. You know, in the end, he recovered from it pretty well. You've got a Mercedes, I think, on the outside that he deals with, and yeah, falls away back in 3rd. It's not the worst start, you know, at the end of the day. Would have liked, I'm sure, to have got up a position, but could have gone a lot worse.
Kevin Ciggy is under investigation for that action-packed opening lap, running in 5th place at the moment. Looked harmless enough to me, very robust, of course, but nothing looked too untoward, but we'll wait and see what the stewards decide. So, as I say, as it stands, Erhan Yujovski would win the championship because he has won more races than Freddy Rasmussen. But if Rasmussen was to get fastest lap, those 2 points would be enough to take him clear of Yujovski. And for this man, Rasmussen, to wrap up the title. So there is so much on the line here, and as I say, the prize pool of €20,000. No further action for Kevin Ciggy, so he will remain there in 5th place, albeit a little bit out of the loop realistically, as Rasmussen gets onto the brakes down into the hairpin. Yeah, there's Yuyovski. Now this is a tough, this reminds me of those kind of situations where you only need, if he stays here he's all right, but you don't want to start driving in your mirrors trying to hold on to this position.
No, absolutely not. And if you ever usually think I'm just going to hold position or something, you never know what's going to happen. It's easy to make a little mistake. It's easy, these cars slide around quite a lot. The brakes are quite difficult. Of course, these are professionals, they know, but just the tiniest little mistake, and then you let a car pass, you've got incredibly fast drivers behind you, and suddenly you're chasing it with a couple of minutes left at the end of the race. It's not something you really want to be doing, you want to be dealing with.
I think that's a really good point. These drivers are literally professionals, a lot of them, which is easy to sort of forget. Jan van der Heijden, who's running in 13th place, was really pleased with his performance last week, because he finished in 7th place up against these professional sim racers, and van der Heijden races a lot and is very, very good and competent, but he's also the HR manager at his local energy firm, so he has to do that during the week, looking after 150 people, and then at the weekend, or whatever one night we're on, a Thursday night, has to come and try and race these drivers who are lapping non-stop throughout the week. Manuel Biancalila first to take attack mode. That will be 2 minutes long and last for, well, it'll last for 2 minutes evidently, and they'll go from 200 kilowatts of power to 235 kilowatts of power for those couple of minutes. They have to do it twice in the race. Freddy Rasmussen across the line, sets the fastest lap of the race, so that's crucial. That's 2 points for Rasmussen, where as it stands, he would win the championship. Yuyovski needs to try and find his way past Graham Carroll, but at the moment it's pretty equidistant between the top 4. 20 minutes remaining. Rasmussen there, Carroll in 2nd, and Yuyovski in 3rd. It's just, well, and this is where you have to work out, do I try and make the overtake, or do I try and do the fastest lap? And we've still got a long way to go in the race.
You've still got the energy to be thinking about with the cars as well, because energy conservation can be a very, very important part of these. You know, maybe Yuyovski is trying to save a bit of energy to try and go faster at the end. You definitely, we've seen a few cars already running out of energy in previous races, so it's something very different to think about with these cars. I'm terrible when it comes to this kind of thing. I have, you go flat out until the end of the race. I can't do the whole energy management side of things. I just want to go as fast as I can. But yeah, with this you can't. You just physically can't do that, because your car is going to die with a lap to go or something.
But you'll go flat out in anything, though. That seems to be one of the big things of your YouTube channel, is let's take the brakes off and go flat out.
If it has wheels, I want to race it. If that's a van, if that's a truck, go for it. That's all very well and good. Yeah, take the brakes off, do something silly with a car, fantastic, fun. But yeah, I don't do tyre saving, I don't do energy conservation, I just want to go as quick as I can.
An old-fashioned racing driver.
Exactly.
Yeah. 19 minutes left on the clock. Manuel Biancalila then, as we just saw, gained a place when Jan van der Heijden in the Nissan activated his attack mode. Martin Stefanko in the Jaguar is running 12th here. We're on board with him. Kevin Ciggy is the first of the leaders to have activated an attack mode. So that's 1 down for Kevin Ciggy and none for any of the rest of the front runners, really. I think Stefanko is the next furthest driver forward to have activated an attack mode so far. Rasmussen still has the fastest lap of the race set on that last lap. Carroll is 1.1 seconds back from him, and then Yuyovski's 1.5 seconds back from Carroll. So it's all just spreading out a little bit, but when they take attack mode is when it will change, because as Kevin Ciggy now sets the fastest lap of the race, so that crucially takes those 2 points away from Freddy Rasmussen, which means that as it stands, Yuyovski would win the championship. That's how tight it is, that any driver in the top 10 could decide the outcome of the championship.
Yeah, when you're looking at fastest laps, you know, there's less than a 10th difference in there, and there's a whole bunch of drivers capable of doing those kind of lap times. It may well be that Ciggy is Yuyovski's best friend by the end of this race, because that is, yeah, it's going to come down to just a couple of points. It's going to come down to that fastest lap. And, you know, sometimes you just get one of those magical laps where you just pull everything together. It's absolutely perfect. That's not quite on the perfect. Some more paint has come off that Mercedes. Again, it might manage to hold it. It's really narrow through this section. Doesn't quite get fed into the wall. Little bump. Little sort of twitch from the car. That's not a place you want to go too wide through there. Still trading paint. Still brushing against the wall. comes out of it in the end. Ciggy gets the position. Again, robust, I think, was the word that was used, and that is a similar sort of move for that one.
Yeah, Korku on the YouTube chat has said that's my word of the day, is robust. So there we go. We're both using it now. How do you like that? 17 minutes to go. It was ambitious from Ciggy coming up into turn 9. He's now out of attack mode, so Otmir will try and get the pass, or try and make the pass back again when he's in attack mode. This, meanwhile, is Martin Stefanko getting passed by Olli Pakala, or at least the two are side by side. Pakala did very well in qualifying, up in 9th place, and he has got the move now on Stefanko. Pakala's previous best qualifying performance was a 9th in the second round in Hong Kong, so Pakala, who finished 3rd in the Visa Vegas E-race back at the start of 2017, is now up into 11th position in his first attack mode. It's very, the queue behind Pakala is incredibly intense. You've got Pakala, Stefanko, Biancalila, Berliak, Von der Heide, Capit, Pev, all right together. Freddie Rasmussen activates his attack mode. Is Graham Carroll going to get past? No. I think he just had enough of an advantage as you see them come over the jump. That's quite cool. And Rasmussen, crucially, keeps ahead of Carroll, because if he'd have dropped behind Carroll there, he could have lost crucial time to Yovski.
Yeah, you really want to be making the most of that attack mode. You know, you get a couple of minutes to use it. You don't want to have to spend half of that trying to find a way back past a car. Okay, it cycles its way through and everything, but yeah, you really can't afford to be wasting any of your attack mode in this when the differences are so close. Also, you know, you've got attack mode in clean air. If you go for a fastest lap, if you're looking for those points, that's the best outcome possible really for Rasmussen.
Well, that's actually a very good point, and something I didn't know when Kevin Ciggy set his fastest lap. That would have been in attack mode, because he was the early driver to take attack mode of the front runners. So that's also something that you're absolutely right, Rasmussen will need to take advantage of, because if he wins the race with the fastest lap and Yovski is 3rd, then he is the champion. 15 minutes left on the clock, and there is Freddie Rasmussen out in front. Finished runner-up in the F1 Esports Series the last couple of years, won the team's title there with Red Bull. He is a Red Bull Esports driver, and this is his first go in rFactor 2, and he's really getting on top of things after a difficult start in the first round. He's getting up to speed now, and there are so many, especially when you get to this level, there's so many differences sort of from game to game.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You can spend, you know, hundreds of hours learning rFactor or learning iRacing or learning Formula 1 even, and while an element of that, you know, a racing element is going to transfer, it's never going to be the same. They all have their own physics engine, they all have their own little behaviours that you've got to learn. I mean, I'm watching when Yovski going through that corner, the Formula E cars, they slide quite a lot, and it's not, you don't normally see that from high-speed racing, if you like. They can make lap time or sliding the cars around. I don't know how they do it. I've tried it and had a crash trying to do it, but they can make some lap time, and it's just like you learn from each of these different games that you go to, but it is a sort of different set of skills almost you get for each one.
Right, so Graham Carroll has activated his first attack mode now as well, as has Jarno Otmir. So Otmir actually is the reigning F1 Esports champion, and he's struggled a little more than Freddie Rasmussen has in moving across to rFactor 2. He's got Bono Huis alongside him, although Huis is down in 19th place after a penalty put him at the back of the grid. As we go on board with Kevin Ciggy, who is closing in, to be honest, on Erhan Yovski. There's only a second or so between them. There's the fastest lap of the race for Rasmussen in attack mode, so that gives him the lead of the championship back. And if Ciggy is able to get past Yovski, then it's a very different story indeed.
Yeah, I'm wondering how aggressive Ciggy is going to be in trying to get this pass done, if he can get close enough. Points-wise, it's looking difficult for Ciggy to be able to take this, but you know, he's going to have to overtake, he's going to have to do these moves fairly quickly if he's going to stand any sort of chance at getting past, although Ciggy's not that far clear of Otmir either, who's still got the attack mode, and got 30 seconds left. Otmir is almost there, he's got a really, really good run coming up over the jump. He's going to be to the outside though for this next corner. I think he bobbles across there. There's still trading paint between these two, and I think Otmir is going to get a little squeeze towards the wall. Still space alongside though, while that Mercedes is going to get the move done up the inside, and has returned the favour, I think, from the earlier little bit of paint swapping and bounce their way. The cars really, they really throw them across the chicanes. They really do bounce. It's quite awkward. It's a bit unnatural almost to get used to, the way they're flying across the chicanes, but yeah, Otmir has got the pass done, and Brzezinski has kind of stayed out of trouble. He stayed away from that scary group of cars.
Yeah, yeah, indeed. 12 minutes to go. Rasmussen leading the race, Carroll in second, Brzezinski third. A great little fight with Otmir and Ciggy, and Otmir comes out on top. This is Berliak up in front of Jan van der Heijden in their battle over 14th place. Great point from Lewis McGlade on the YouTube chat, who points out that Freddy Rasmussen is a Red Bull esports driver, Graham Carroll is a Red Bull esports driver, so you don't think that Carroll's going to be particularly aggressive when it comes to sort of fighting with his teammate who's fighting for the championship. Brzezinski and Ciggy on very different energy levels. 52% for Brzezinski, 47% for Ciggy, which is one of the lowest in the field.
I think Ciggy has just been absolutely going for it, which, you know, when you had a little bit of a difficult qualifying session, it kind of gets to the point of, you know, you haven't got a choice at this stage. You've really got to go for it. But yeah, I think a couple of percent, it might not sound like much at this point in the race, but a couple of percent will make a huge difference come towards the end, because you're going to have to do something about it, and that may mean go. So, oh, there's been a bump on the wall. I think that was Brzezinski who has run wide and clonked the wall. That's a pretty hard hit for the car through there. It's a horrible braking zone. It's bumpy and difficult to get the car slowed down. Hopefully won't have done too much damage to the vehicle there. But yeah, that is not what he's going to have wanted, getting it slowed for that yet.
Oh, that's a big one.
That's a big off, yeah.
You can see the steering's a little bit bent as well, and the back end's swinging around, and all of a sudden Jarno Otmir, who is in attack mode behind, has an opportunity of passing Erhan Brzezinski. On board we go with the North Macedonian, the driver who won the first 2 rounds of the championship, who won the last race at Electric Docks, who's been leading the championship since the first possible opportunity, because he took the first pole position of the season. Is it going to slip away from him in the final race of Formula E Accelerate, when he looked like he had a really strong advantage, 26 points clear, but double points could be coming to ruin Brzezinski's day. Here's Jarno Otmir right in the slipstream, and he's in attack mode. As they come down the hill, he's going to have the extra power available to him. Is he going to make a move at the bottom of the hill coming into turn 5? Not this time around, maybe up the hill into 9. On board with Brzezinski, looking back, starting the ascent up the other side now, and look how much extra power he's got. Otmir pulls to the outside coming into turn 9. Can he get it done before the braking zone? The Mercedes and the Venturi going side by side. It's done already. Otmir's up into 3rd place. That clears the way for Freddy Rasmussen, who's just taken his second attack mode to win the championship if it stays like this. But Brzezinski still has another attack mode to make, but that hit of the wall could be crucial.
Yeah, absolutely could. And one of the other things that you find is when you make just a little mistake like that one, the next time you come to the corner, you're thinking about that mistake. You don't want to make that mistake again, so you brake maybe just that little bit early, or you brake that little bit differently. It can really throw you out of a rhythm. And with these street circuits, I tend to find they are, once you've sat in a rhythm, it's fine. As soon as you get out of that, you know, whether that be from a little mistake or whatever it is, you can get yourself in a little bit of trouble. It takes a few laps almost to recover, to get back into the rhythm. The thing Brzezinski's got going for him is has still got good energy, one of the best energies of the cars at the front, which, as I said, back towards the end of that race may well come in handy, but you've got to have to be passing cars again, which is not always the easiest thing to do.
Michi Hoyer's giving us some insight here on the YouTube chat. He says that's it for Brzezinski. He tried for the fastest lap and died, which I think is because he was in attack mode at the time.
That could be what it is, yeah.
So wise words from Michi Hoyer, who then said the suspension damage will do issues. I've lived through that in Diriyah, when Hoyer finished 21st in Diriyah after having a bit of damage in that race. Graham Carroll is in his second attack mode now, the Scottish driver. And they're all kind of coming back to a similar percentage, aren't they, of energy, bar Kevin Ciggy, who's a little lower at the moment. There is Ciggy running in 5th position. But a reminder, as it stands, Freddy Rasmussen would win Formula E Accelerate, 20,000 euros and a drive in the real Formula E car. Now, Ciggy's already got a drive in the real Formula E car lined up for winning the Race at Home Challenge, but I can think of 20,000 other reasons that he might still want to win the championship again. With 8 minutes left on the clock, it's looking unlikely. Oh yeah, I was going to say this earlier. If Ciggy, even if Ciggy were to win the race, he would need Brzezinski to finish 7th and Rasmussen to finish 3rd. So that's not really looking like a doable opportunity. And I wonder if he thinks the race is a lap shorter or something, because he is so short on energy. But we'll wait and see. 7 minutes to go.
Yeah, it's quite possible. It's one of those things it's quite easy to lose track of. It's sure you've got all of your UI going on the screen, but when you're in the heat of battle, especially when you're busy, when you're in the pack, it's really easy to just miss something that's going on with the car, whether it be the energy, whether it be the time of the race or so on. And yeah, even at this level, it is quite possible to have just missed a tiny little bit of detail and then very difficult to rectify it when you've got 5 minutes to go.
Ciggy's going to get Yayovsky here, coming down the hill. Luna Park on the right-hand side. The left-hander is coming up next, and Ciggy goes right the way around the outside at turn 5. Yayovsky still holds it on the inside, but has to bail out of it. And Erhan Yayovsky now goes to activate his second attack mode, so maybe that's why he got out of it. He's going to be passed by Nikodem Brzezinski up the hill. No, not quite, but that is a second attack mode then for both Kevin Ciggy and for Erhan Yayovsky. So they've all taken their second attack mode now of the front runners, and all of a sudden the North Macedonian is down into 5th position, and Freddy Rasmussen, who said after the last race at Electric Docks, I don't know what to do, I don't know why my energy consumption was so poor, certainly seems to have got a handle on it this time, because him and Graham Carroll are 8 seconds clear of everybody else.
They're just having their own little race. It does help, you know, when it's nothing better when you're out in front of a race, you look behind, you see all the cars battling. You know, when you've got that clean air, you don't have to worry about anything. You can run your own race, run your own lap times. You're not worrying about do you have to attack, do I have to defend. They've been having a huge battle over 3rd place, and you know, it's so easy to drop 1, 2, 3 seconds just in a lap because you're fighting, you're attacking, you're defending. You can see they're still going at it for every position available around this circuit.
Yeah, this is Kuba Brzezinski running in 7th place, up behind Nikodem Brzezinski. Brzezinski's best result of the season so far is a 9th place, so if he could get up into 6th, that would be a really tremendous end to the season for the Jaguar driver, who I'm a bit surprised actually hasn't had a stronger season. Obviously it's a very strong field, but he won the 24 Hours of Le Mans LMP2 class last summer with Isaac Price and Nikodem Brzezinski. He was 3rd in Formula Sim Racing back in 2015, so a real top quality driver, Brzezinski, but these really are the best of the best. Muller is out of the race, so Muller racing no more. Here comes Brzezinski to the outside of the DS Techeetah of Nikodem Brzezinski into 9, and Brzezinski holds the place for the time being. Now, less than 5 minutes to go. Squabbles, as you say, going on all the way throughout the order, but Rasmussen leading with fastest lap, with Yayovsky in 5th, who's in attack mode but hasn't been able to get back ahead of Ciggy. We're on board with him here. Ciggy's pulling away. I think this is looking, with 4.5 minutes to go, more and more like it's going the way of Freddy Rasmussen.
Yeah, it's quite possible if there is a little bit of damage on Yayovsky's car that it just becomes actually that bit more difficult to drive, and you can't overdrive the car here. You really can't afford. There's no margin for error around this sort of circuit, and if it is ailing a little bit from that big clonk on the wall, overdrive, you're going to make it worse. And he closed up a little bit in attack mode, but it's never going to be enough. If anything, you may have to be worried about the cars behind. It looked like they might be a little too far back. They might be fighting each other a little bit too much at the moment, but yeah, there's a lot to think about going on these last sort of few minutes of the race. Although, of course, Ciggy's maybe brought back a little bit of the energy, but it's always going to be sort of playing on their mind at that point.
As you say, 3.5 minutes to go. Closing stages of the final round of Formula E Accelerate. Yayovsky coming down to the bottom of the hill. There you can see him on the left-hand side. And he's sort of looking fairly resigned, isn't he? Deep breaths, and as he climbs up the hill, a mop of the brow. Quite a lot of lag on his webcam, but maybe that's his reason this time. But a little bit wide in front for Kevin Ciggy, but Yayovsky, he's got to get back 2 places and the fastest lap of the race. He hasn't got any attack modes left, so realistically, oh no, sorry, he's only got to get back up 2 places. No, more than that, because Rasmussen has set the fastest lap of the race. And Rasmussen's fastest lap of the race is 1.3 seconds quicker than anyone else's. The second fastest lap was Jarno Opmeer on a 32.7. Rasmussen's done a 31.4 during attack mode. Apologies, Olli Pakala did a 32.2. So 0.8 of a second was the nearest driver to Freddy Rasmussen. He's absolutely in the zone today.
Well, when they're like qualifying times, there was less than 0.8 of a second between what, 1st to 10th.
Yeah.
And you're managing to do that in the race between 1st and anybody else. must have been an as I was saying about that, sometimes you get just that absolutely perfect lap. That must have been that one. Shame we kind of didn't see that, because that would have to be absolutely on it to do that sort of speed.
Yeah, very good at one-lap paces, Freddie Rasmussen. I remember so many pole positions for him in the F1 esports series over the last few years, before now racing in this Formula E Accelerate series on rFactor 2. All of the tracks that you've seen over the course of the series can be raced, so if you want to get on rFactor 2 and get into some downloadable content, then that's all possible. Here's Nikodem Wisniewski coming through attack mode to activate it for the second time. Kuba Brzezinski following through as well. They're in 6th and 7th positions. Gasnes is in 8th, Herzing's in 9th, Gollenbeck is in 10th position as Wisniewski comes through the left-hander and then down the hill into the right-hander with a minute and a half to go. Things are looking better and better for Freddie Rasmussen. Ciggy, as you say, has managed to sort of recoup some of that energy. He's in 4th place, but about 3 seconds behind Jarno Opmeer in 3rd.
Yeah, I just watched those cars go through the chicane, and I think every single one just lightly brushed the wall on their way through. Everyone is using every little bit of track they can get away with, and a little bit more that they probably shouldn't be getting away with, but can kind of just about do it. I think there's a jag up there. Is Brzezinski is looking close to the car's head. It's a very tight group you got going on here, but you can never really have, the cars are very, very similar, you can never really have a big dive under brakes because you haven't got that bigger advantage. So you've got to really line it up, and no one's really got any attack mode advantage. The two cars closest together are both in attack mode, so no one's quite going to be in the right place, I don't think, to have a look, but you never know with this sort of stuff.
Freddie Rasmussen's onto the final lap. He's coming down the hill now, and then about to come up the hill the other side, actually. Such is his advantage over the rest of the field with 30 seconds left on the clock. This will be the final lap. Wisniewski almost getting hit by Brzezinski, the two poles going head-to-head. But here is Freddie Rasmussen. He was the quickest driver in open qualifiers, was Freddie Rasmussen. But then in the opening round of the season, choked a little bit in the first qualifying session. Here's Wisniewski and contact with Brzezinski again. Those two going wheel to wheel. Tough stuff.
Jack's have a look around the outside. We've seen so many people try to get around the outside. We haven't really seen much of Rasmussen. He's just been out in front, a little bit wide.
Yeah, this is the last lap, Freddie. Keep it cool. He goes very wide into the hairpin. As I say, he didn't have the strongest start to his campaign. Only finished 9th in the first race in New York City. Now Brzezinski has got ahead of Wisniewski, but since then Rasmussen hasn't been off the podium. 2nd in Hong Kong, 2nd in Berlin, 1 in Diriyah, 3rd in Electric Docks. But now he's going to come through the final 2 corners to take the race win in Rome. What a superb performance from Freddie Rasmussen. And if you're Jofsky, that will give him 143 points in the championship. And if Jofsky comes across the line in that 5th position, he will only have 131. Here comes Ciggy. Valiant effort from Kevin Ciggy. He's across the line in 4th. It is 5th for Erhan Jofsky. Freddie Rasmussen is the Formula E Accelerate champion. He wins 20,000 euros out of the 100,000 euro prize pot. He wins a drive in the real world Formula E car, and the normally unflappable Dane, maybe, just maybe, will be delighted with this result. And what a way to win the championship. We were talking about, you know, Jofsky winning it earlier on, and just hang on to 3rd and try and get a fastest lap and whatever. Freddie Rasmussen, bam.
Yeah, he did exactly what needed to do. Qualified on pole and drove away from the rest of the field. He didn't have to worry about other people, didn't have to deal with, hoping somebody else gets fast lap away. He just did absolutely everything he needed to, and yeah, just pushing a little too hard would get the better.
Kevin Ciggy, who's had a haircut this week in preparation for the final, not sort of, actually in preparation, but just coincidentally, and still smiling and clapping. The 4th position finish, and he will still be getting his drive in a real-world Formula E car for winning Race at Home Challenge. But here's a look at the classification after round 6. Freddie Rasmussen takes the win. Graham Carroll finishing in 2nd, easily his best performance of the season so far. Jarno Opmeer in 3rd place for his first podium, and a best result as well for Opmeer. His previous best was 5th last time out in Electric Docks. Ciggy in 4th. Erhan Jofsky slipped from 3rd at the start to 5th, Brzezinski and Wisniewski we saw battling hard over 6th and 7th positions. Pakala set a very fast lap during that race, but only managed 13th. Peter Berliak 14th. Von der Heide 15th. Bono Huis climbed from 24th up into 16th at the end. Artur Leyuk in 18th position. Tamer Benchik 21st, Honzik 22nd, Jiayu Zhang 23rd, Lucas Müller finishing, well not finishing, 6 laps after the end of the race. Championship standing wise, there is Freddy Rasmussen at the top of the championship. He wins it by 12 points in the end over Erhan Yayovski. Yayovski has led the standings from the first qualifying sessions back at the start of January, and now is the first time he has not been at the top of the standings, and it's when it matters. Kevin Ciggy 3rd, Graham Carroll with that great result at the end, pulling himself up to 4th in the championship standings. He was 10th at the start of this race. Nikodem Wisniewski in 6th, Golombek in 7th place after his form faded away a little after some strong performances earlier in the season. And as far as the team's championship is concerned, this combines the real-world Formula E driver races as well. So that win for Eduardo Mortara helping Erhan Yayovski and Lorenz Herzing to help Rocket Venturi Racing win the title. A huge thanks to Alex Failrace for joining me on commentary. We will be watching him take on the New York City leaderboard track a little bit later on. But for now, let's hear from the champion of Formula E Accelerate, Darren.
Yes, that is the trophy and this is the winner. Freddy Rasmussen, congratulations. You are the champion of Formula E Accelerate. How are you feeling?
I'm really happy. I can't believe it, to be honest. I didn't have any standings. I couldn't see where Erhan was during the race. So when I got out of the car and I see him P5, it was just a shock. I can't believe it.
Freddie, is that a choice to not have the standings and to not know where your rivals are, or was it accidental?
No, I just haven't mapped the button. But intentional.
Well, I think that actually highlights a really important point, that you came into FE Accelerate not really that familiar with rFactor 2, and I mean, look at where you are now. What has the whole journey been like for you?
It's been a huge learning curve and a massive comeback, really big comeback. I mean, where was I after race 1? I think I was P9 after race 1. So from P9 to win it, it's just insane.
And what you're going to get a chance to drive the real Formula E car. Have you done much real world race car driving?
Basically nothing, and I'm in bad shape, so I'm gonna have to do something about that.
Well, another prize that you have is, of course, the 20,000 euros. Have you already planned out what you want to spend it on?
I'm trying to buy an apartment. That's about it, I think. I'm kind of a saving guy.
Okay, well, that's what a wholesome answer. Freddie, from everybody here at Formula E Accelerate, a huge congratulations. Absolutely brilliant performance.
A brilliant performance.
Thank you so much.
Now we're going to be taking a look at the... Oh, look who we have on our screen. We have Jerome and D'Ambrosio. So, congratulations. Rocket Venturi Racing are the team champions. How does it feel?
Thank you. Well, it feels amazing. It's great. First of all, I want to thank Aaron and Lawrence for participating with us in the championship and delivering such a strong result. And Edo's race earlier on allowed us to win that championship. I think it's great. You know, it gives it's a great platform. We're reaching a new audience, and so it's great to be performing like that in this Accelerate championship.
And what were your memories of doing all the sort of Formula E esports stuff? Obviously, you came to Vegas and you got to see firsthand just how talented these sim racers are.
Yeah, definitely. I think, you know, I'm definitely, and I was never really talented in that, and I struggled very much last year during lockdown. So I really know how hard it is and how much effort these guys have to put in to perform at that level. I was nowhere near their level, so I really appreciate it. And yes, it's amazing to see what these guys can do.
Great. Thank you very much for joining us, Jerome. Jerome D'Ambrosio, Assistant Team Principal of the Venturi
team in Formula E.
Yes, and now we are going to be joined with Erhan Yayovski. Erhan, not the finish I'm sure you imagined. How are you feeling?
Yeah, obviously I'm disappointed, but it is what it is at the end. I knew that Fred got the pole position. I knew that Carroll was going to guard him all race, so overtaking him was extremely difficult, almost impossible on this track, given it's so narrow and the straights are so short. And I tried to go for the fastest lap because at the beginning I saw that the two guys in front were saving a bit of energy, so Fred can go for the fastest lap. So it was the only way he could win the championship if I stayed third. So I tried to go for the fastest lap, but missed my braking point and crashed. And from then on, my car was completely broken. I was down on top speed. I was overtaken by Opmir. Like I couldn't do anything. So I just said, it is what it is. But congrats to Fred. Congrats to you. Thank you very much for all the work you've put in, the whole organization. Thank you for my team, and hopefully we see each other in season 2.
Great, thank you very much, Erhan. You're still one of the greatest ever on rFactor 2, and you proved it again this season. Superb work. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah, what a wonderful drive from him and the R8G team as well, Romain Grosjean's team. We had Roman on the show a few weeks ago, but it is ultimately Freddy Rasmussen who takes the victory.
It is. That was a very wholesome ending from Erhan.
Yeah, it was, and it was wholesome from Freddie as well.
Yeah.
What are you using the money on? Looking to buy a flat. That's what this sim racing. It is a job for these drivers, you know, and it's a way to earn money. It's a way to, you know, have a career. It's great stuff.
It's great stuff indeed. So now we are going to be taking a look at where we'll be going for the next round of the ABB FIA Formula E World Championship, which is almost exactly 2 weeks away.
And we go green under the lights. It's 3 wide as they come down into the corner. Nick de Vries wins the first race. Third up the inside of Brights coming into the chicane. They're going to make contact. They both squeeze through. For the 7th season of Formula E, Sam Bird is a winner. And look how close they are.
Look at this jump. Contact.
Oh, he's hit him.
This is brilliant.
Come on.
All roads really do lead to Rome. Now, from the tricky Italian tarmac to the asphalt of America's Big Apple, all season we've been challenging our guests to set a lap time on the streets of New York. So, Alex, would you do us the honour, please?
I shall do my best.
OK, so while he's doing his outlap, let's just bring you up to date with the leaderboard. Now, the most wanted, our Argentinian co-streamer did a lap, and he did a 1 minute 14.560, which he goes up on the board in red because he and Romain Grosjean both doing it on their home rigs, home sims. You know, it's not a fair fight. It's not a fair fight. So we've also got Darren's lap time down here, a 1 minute 28.191. Are you happy with that?
I wish I was planning to get a 125, right? But I think considering that I did about 5 laps, 128, I'm happy with it. It's okay. But yeah, hopefully for next season.
I think it's honestly, it's going to. But I think it's good work.
Thank you.
Work, definitely, undoubtedly. Right, where is Alex up to then? He's just coming through the second half of the lap now on his outlap, getting some temperature into the brakes, some temperature into the tyres. Our current quickest driver is Oliver Rowland on a 1 minute 15.755. Is that achievable, Alex?
Oh, I'm not sure. I'd like to think so. Like, the competitor in me wants to say, yes, I can do that. And the realist part goes, let's just try and not hit a wall.
OK, now that's good advice, isn't it? Right, coming through the final chicanes, the right and the left. Again, Taya last week had brilliant socks
And we've got wonderful socks. Did you know your socks were going to be a big thing?
I didn't really think about it. I just sort of pulled something, and then when I got here, I realised, oh yeah, they talked about them, didn't they? So maybe it wasn't the day for novelty socks, or maybe it was, I don't know.
Concentrate now on your big lap, the biggest lap of your life, through the hairpin at turn 1, then into the dock loop where it goes right at 2, right at 3, right again at 4, drifting out a little bit wide. We'll see whether this lap is going to be great at the end of that. Is that before your time, Darren?
No, it's not. I actually understand the reference today.
Okay, good. I just wanted to check. Right, onto the brakes into this tricky left-hander at turn 6. Guess it stopped very nicely. This is a very neat and tidy lap so far from Alex. Now, he'll be going up on the board as fail race. As I say, the quickest lap time of 15.755. Now coming into the hairpin right-hander. A tight Manhattan hairpin. Couple more corners to go. Again, this is neat and tidy stuff. Just the chicane to come. It's been clean. No walls have been hit. Is it a bit too steady? Is it a bit too safe? It's certainly not been a fail. Here he comes out of the final corner. Fail race across the line. And his lap time for the final lap of the season is a 1 minute. They're telling me the time in my ear and I'm livid. It's a 1 minute 16.413. And that puts him ahead of Oliver Turvey. That puts him ahead of Oliver Turvey up into 3rd position. I'm shunted down a spot to 5th. And fail race goes quicker than Alex Lynn, quicker than Abby Eaton, quicker than Charlie Martin, quicker than Taya. Only Sam Bird and Oliver Rowland quicker.
Yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that one.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. It's one of those that you always think, I can keep doing more, but when you've got just one lap, much like with the qualifier, you've got just one lap is most important, you don't wreck it. So yeah, I'm pleased with that one.
Yeah, I'm glad you're pleased. I really thought I was ending the season in 4th place. Well, remember, the game and all the tracks we've raced on in this series are available for you to race on rFactor 2. See how close you can get to our lap times on the leaderboard. And if you know you're going to miss virtual Formula E now that this series is over, there's a whole new world to explore on Motorsport Manager Online. There's Formula E Season 7 content launching tomorrow, including fresh liveries, the Berlin Tempelhof track as well, to add to the Paris and Rome tracks that are already on there. So you too, on your mobile phone, can be like Mark Preston. It's fun being a motorsport manager, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll have to go and have a play at that. I see you got the new livery for us.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see how he gets on. But thank you, Fail Race. Thank you and congratulations to Oliver Rowland, who remains quickest at the end of the series.
Yes, but for now, this is it. Thank you so much to our drivers and our sim racers. Thanks to our crew and the team behind the scenes. And of course, thanks to our guests.
Most of all, though, thank you to you guys for watching, all your comments and interactions. We've loved the company over the last few months.
Yes, we really have. We love to see it. But for now, stay safe, be kind, and we'll see you soon.